system we're going into is a feudal-type system, and those who run the United States and most of the Western world under this new system, this new world order, don't believe in democracy whatsoever, and they don't believe in human rights. They believe in classes. There are classes of types, and you have the aristocracy at the top, then you have a middle helping class of bureaucracies and technocrats, and below that you have the masses, according to them, the lesser types, the very types that Charles Galton Darwin was talking about, that they were afraid might overtake through overpopulation. They'd overtake the elite and wipe them out. So they decided to wipe out the masses instead. And that's where we're heading towards. The same guys that had death squads all over Latin America and special forces all over the world slaughtering for the last 50 years are now in charge. And they plan to reduce the population of this entire global plantation of theirs down to a more manageable level. We see it all around us. It's coming. They've thrown off the sham of democracy, and now they're showing us the iron fist.
Yeah, and this is a real reality that is striking home right now. Their plan is moving toward literally Arthur C. Clarke's 2010 Space Odyssey. Tell us about how some of this predictive programming, some of the materials that are going back literally half a century or more, are being played out literally in our day right now with actual policies from the International Monetary Fund, the globalization of currencies, the chipping of the populations here in America and over in China, the largest two economies on the planet. Tell how this is all coming together.
Well, this is stuff which they put out in science fiction beginning around the 1930s with Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, where they talked about creating new types of purpose-made ideal design. That's the other meaning of ID. It's an ideal design type of human. And this in the 1930s, he was talking about genetic engineering, a whole society of worker bees. And then that was followed up in the 50s through the Futurist Society. And all science fiction writers, all the big ones that you hear of, are members of the Futurist Society. The Futurist Society, the top, is composed of members of top think tanks that run the world system, and they give us predictive programming. They choose the authors, they tell them what to write about, make it exciting for the youngsters, and when you read what's to come, in other words, through science fiction, because it's familiar to you, you think it's a natural progression. It doesn't dawn on you that humankind can go off in 1,000 directions. We think we're evolving naturally step by step towards this brave new world. That's called predictive programming. Isaac Asimov was one of the big ones who did all the work on the robots of the future and the cyborgs and the interfacing of human and machine. And now we see it, of course. They're talking about marriage partners in the future who will be mechanical, basically, or very much like the movie Artificial Intelligence.
Yeah, I saw that news article yesterday where they're talking about this with actual scientists talking about marriage, of people marrying robots by 2050. I mean, this is fusion with technology. It's creating a hellish matrix that's literally right out of the movie, and it is very real. They're talking about nanotechnologies to completely re-engineer human lifespan. I know about technologies that are not transhuman. I mean, we're talking about simply improving biology, correcting gene structure problems, correcting the damage and repair of the tissues that can extend human lifespan without changing the very nature of what we are. We're not talking about transhumanism, but the transhumanists literally want to merge with technology and eliminate 90% of the world population.
Yes, and what they're using, too, is to put doubt in your head about certain things, certain norms, as you call them. And there are certain norms in the world that they cannot be changed, or they're destroyed. Everything is destroyed when you change real norms, the fundamental norms. And they've done a darn good job of destroying the family unit, and people now are pretty well isolated from each other. They live on computers and communicate through computers in their little boxes, all separately from each other. They're on cell phones. It's called a cell phone because you're in a cell. You're a good little worker bee separate from the rest. That's the hard part in this world, is to go through the transition. People are trying to hold on to what they think is normal in a time when all the normal has been already destroyed. We're in flux. And when you're in flux, eventually you'll find all new kinds of new norms are brought forth from the top, because all culture is coordinated at the top and promoted downwards to the public simply adapt it to their own lives, adapt the opinions, the views, and all the rest of it. And that's why we're in flux. We're in flux now because it was intended that all the old world, everything that used to be, has to be destroyed. And we have to be all accepting. That's the key to it. All accepting of everything. And that means never-ending acceptance of everything, that it becomes new. And when new types of humans and so on are presented to the public, they've already been conditioned through movies and fiction to accept it. After all, we're all human. So it says. Even with the movie Artificial Intelligence, we saw that theme being pushed over and over and over again. And the Millennium Man, I think it was called as well, with Robin Williams. I had the same idea, to get the message across to the public. What is human? We have trans this and trans that, and now it's going into post-humanism and transhumanism as the old type supposedly dies away. And to the average person, they think we're just evolving, and it's happening as science just opens pages and finds things out for the first time, and nothing is further from the truth. The sciences that are published to the public and what they apparently discover were known a long, long time ago, even with genetics. That is why in the 1920s, the big players were very confident, published lots of books on the coming society, the eugenical society, where everyone would be programmed scientifically, and also eventually would all lead into a eugenics program with people who are allowed to breed and those who are not allowed to breed. Normality exists, you see. There is no normality. Anything goes. Then society is in flux. You have no normal to compare anything with. And so you have no objections to what's put in front of you, what comes up next, or even what they want to do with you, ultimately. That's very simple. And eventually there'll be all kinds of different humanoid-type creatures. We saw that in the movie Artificial Intelligence. That was part of that. You had the wicked humans, who had a kind of circus for obsolete robot-type humans, and they killed them all in the circus for entertainment. People were bad, humans were bad, and they said that as long as the human mindset is there with certain emotions and qualities, then anything can be classified as human. So all these movies, all these shows are part of predictive programming, and we never catch on. It's quite, as I always say, you cannot watch anything and enjoy it. You must study it clinically. Everything must be studied clinically. And you'll find out very quickly, if you can do that, if you can actually learn that art, you'll know what they want to leave in your mind. And it's not just to make you happy and pass a couple of hours. It's to implant certain topics within your mind and also give you the conclusions about those topics as well. And that's how it's done. Here's an interesting little article here. It's from the Information Week Business Technology Network. Air Force seeks non-lethal city stopper. Posted by George Hume, December 7th, 2008. While it won't destroy buildings or directly kill people, it will shut down everything in its path with a power button. Electromagnetic pulse bombs have been written about for quite some time and are supposed to have been used in a number of conflicts in the past 15 years. Well, they have been. It's been in the newspapers. These weapons, just like the HARP technologies too, they used them in Gulf War I. That was in the British newspapers. These weapons are designed to shut down cities, as well as military communications and weapon systems, not physically destroy them, but they can destroy them too. It says, well, only electrical parts. The U.S. military already has EMP, its electromagnetic pulse capabilities, but it looks like, based on this Air Force solicitation published in the past couple of days, they're about to get more tactical. Combatant commanders have expressed desires for additional military options against a variety of electronic systems that are used in military, industrial, civil, and asymmetrical applications to provide viable military options to the COCOMs, they call this whole bunch, the Air Force Research Laboratory Directed Energy Directorate's High Power Microwave Division. That's a long term, isn't it? But it's pulsed energy weapons. It's seeking to develop and demonstrate the capability and operational utility of a high-power microwave aerial demonstrator. And I'll put the link for that up as well at the end of the show. I'll go to the callers now. I've got Sam from Australia on the line. Hey there, Sam.
Hey, Alan, how are you?
I'm hanging in here.
That's good. Listen, I sent you a link just before the show. Just thought your listeners might want to know about it as well. It's an article in today's Sydney Morning Herald, and it's titled "Scientists Develop Way to Display Thoughts."
Yeah.
Now, this Japanese research team has come up with a way to basically screen your thoughts onto a computer screen. And it's an amazing article to read through because it talks about how they can basically read your mind. Not only can they read your mind.
There's a whole bunch of articles, and even what they're giving you really is low-tech stuff. Because years ago, they had, and as I say, it's been demonstrated on CBC television with Nick Bigage on Wendy Mesley's show, and Bigage also demonstrated it in the European Parliament to the politicians there, this little gadget the CIA had back in the 50s, which could put thoughts directly into your head. Now, to understand the technology and the brainwave patterns and so on, to put thoughts into your head electronically, you got to understand it could be a two-way street, you see. But they had this gadgetry back in the 50s.
No, absolutely. And look, I've been following this kind of technology for a while. I've always been, I started off as what you'd term as a cyberpunk writer, and so I was heavily into looking at this kind of stuff. But it's scary. So if you look at the fact that now they've got the RFID chip, they've got the brain chip, they've got ways to actually broadcast feelings or emotions into your brain. They know now they're announcing. That's what's worrying. When they're announcing it, the technology is not that far off to be released. They basically can read your thoughts. There's nowhere to hide. Combine that with nanotech technology, the fact that they can actually put that in your food, theoretically, put it in your food, it can grow in, they could start building a computer inside your brain, so you don't actually even have to get it surgically inserted. And I think that's going to be the big thing. You're just going to, they're going to offer you a brain chip, but you don't have to.
That will come. There's no doubt at all. There's a whole bunch of articles I have here that I haven't read over the air on that very thing of promoting the brain chip by very well-known people who are obviously getting paid to do it. But they said at the 2001 meeting at Loyola University in the United States, this World Science meeting, they said they already have it ready to go. That was in 2001, the brain chip. They said they have centralized regionalized computers ready to control millions of people. Each region's got these supercomputers, these Cray computers set up to control the people. They said the only problem we have now is to convince the public to want it, to take it. And they said that they will overcome this over the next few years with propaganda through media, novels, movies, and aiming at the children. They'll think it's very exciting. And so it's just a matter of time now till we're all ready to accept it. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I can already see how they can sell it. I mean, the fact is that what you see as the World Wide Web, the net, the matrix at the moment, that's all converging. I mean, if you have a chip in your brain that alters your perception of reality, then your perception will be your reality. And the big question is, who is going to be controlling that? I mean, are we going to trust these guys?
Well, they've already made it quite clear that it's not to help. At the top meetings, it was not put out to help the people. They'll literally reprogram the people. You could be a carpenter one day and a surgeon the next, but you won't know, and you'll have no memory of who you are, or even the sentience of being an individual. They stated there will be no more individualism. In fact, what they said was it'll be impossible for a person to even perceive or think of themselves as an individual once they have this chip inserted.
That's right. And so, once you have this, you're going to be a sitting duck. They can do whatever they want with you. They have complete control over how you perceive reality.
Exactly.
This is quite frightening. Anyway, I thought I'd just bring your attention to that. It's frightening.
Well, thanks for calling.
Thanks again.
Yeah, that's true. And as I say, they have been promoting it through movies and cartoons, and the youngsters think that they're going to get wonderful chips to make them superhuman. And remember, artificial intelligence means artificial. Now, artificial means not real. It's a fake. It's not the real thing. Personally, I'd rather have the real thing, and that's the thing you're born with.
Everything's about power today for the managed, expertly run society. Now here is an article from the National Science and Technology Council. It's got a National Artificial Intelligence Research and Development Strategic Plan. This is from last year. Artificial intelligence is a transformative technology, and this is the age of change, transformation. The 21st century was to be the century of all this was to happen. Everything they'd ever planned in sociology and all the rest of it in the sciences, the social science, were to be fulfilled in the managed society. Anyway, it's a transformative technology that holds promise for tremendous societal and economic benefits. Has the potential to revolutionize how we live. Artificial intelligence, remember, how we live. Agenda 21, 21st century. 2030 and so on. Work, learn, discover and communicate. It can further our national priorities, including increased economic prosperity, for those who own all. Improved educational opportunities, meaning if you go along with all the opinions you're given in education, you'll succeed. If you have a mind of your own, you probably won't. And quality of life, and enhanced national and homeland security, because they'll know everything that everybody's doing. Because of these potential benefits, the US government has invested in artificial intelligence research for many years, yet as with any significant technology in which the federal government has interest, there are not only tremendous opportunities, but also a number of considerations that must be taken into account in guiding the overall direction of federally funded research and development in artificial intelligence. So we're paying for all this stuff. All the countries are paying for this. We always pay for our own change, you might say. Our chains and our change, because we're to be changed by all. On May the 3rd, 2016, the administration announced the formation of a new NSTC subcommittee on machine learning and artificial intelligence to help coordinate federal activity in artificial intelligence. And they've got strategic plans and objectives for where it's to go. Always dressed up in benefits to society and so on. So they want to make long-term investments in artificial intelligence research, develop effective methods for human and artificial intelligence collaboration. Rather than replace humans, it says most artificial intelligence systems will collaborate with humans to achieve optimal performance. Really? Well, who's designing what is optimal performance? Right now, you could go into, have a mind wipe, you might say, and come out and you'd be utterly politically correct and see all the new in vogue things. And you'll be improved. They'll call you improved. Researchers need to create effective interactions between humans and artificial intelligence systems. You're going to be spied on about everything you do. It's bad enough already, but it's going to be an awful lot worse. Understand and address the ethical, legal and societal implications of artificial intelligence. They expect it to behave according to the formal and informal norms to which we hold our fellow humans. Researchers need to understand the ethical, legal and social implications and to develop methods for designing systems that align with ethical, legal and societal goals. Well, who decides what the ethical goals are? You can also see the changes we're going through now. We don't decide this. It's all given from the top down. Legal, same thing. And societal goals, who decides what societal goals should be? I mean, those at the top already, in the scientific realms, believe that they should decide what the societal goals are. How you behave, how you think, what your opinions are, and all the rest of it. Ensure the safety and security of artificial intelligence systems. Develop shared public data sets and environments for artificial intelligence training and testing. So we're always getting tested on us, naturally. And measure and evaluate the technologies and so on. Again, it'll all work out properly, because eventually, remember, there's be no private property. It'll all be owned. The private property will still be there, but only for the big moguls that'll own them internationally across the world, streets and cities, in fact, eventually. That's the plan, folks. Don't forget, Agenda 21 for the whole 21st century is the end of private property and the end, of course, of private transportation. Things start to tie together when you understand it. There's even an article that says in Australia, you can't afford a house in big Aussie yet in a city. Buy an island paradise instead. It'll only set you back $385,000, which is half the price of the average small house in some of the big cities in Australia. Ridiculous, but there you go. That's what folk take for reality. Also, whoever leads artificial intelligence will rule the world, and that was President Putin to the Russian children on Knowledge Day, and I guess on national television. And of course, the ones who already have been chosen to rule the world through AI are showing their teeth now. It isn't just private individuals, etc., doing it. Although they'll all play their part, even to their peer group, because that's how people behave in society. Even the persecutors of society will all be PC in their own little worlds of virtue. They have special virtue above everybody else. That's why they have to keep you all in line. An article from even June, Google staff keep the blacklist of conservative and fringe sites. It's been admitted to, of course, and they've been showing their teeth. It isn't just Google. It's the consortium of this superstructure that said, obviously, to me, my mind, they're all connected, maybe even under one, it could be one monopoly, basically, runs all of these things. Has to be, I really think. They definitely have to interact with each other on so many levels. Another article called Future Work Technology 2050, Global Scenarios. And this is from the Millennium Project. I'll put articles up on what they are. So a UN group across the world, actually, through universities. They help, again, coordinate. Everything's coordinated into the oneness system, isn't it? To standardize everything. Across the whole planet, everything has to be standardized for the new culture that's being brought in internationally. and planned for you and what it is, etc. You had no say in the matter at all. The only participation you have is as I say, you acquiesce, you accept it through your silence and your use of it all. You help it all to happen. But you think, you'd wish it to be a sentient human being. You would at least demand to know what's going on from the characters that are doing it all. And why they're doing it. I'll put this up too. And it gives you a lot of what's planned for the future, work-wise, up to the year 2050, and also what will happen on the way up to that year too, of how many unemployed there'll be, etc. And eventually how many folk will have to stay unemployed and just get paid by the state, the very thing that Bertrand Russell talked about with their credits getting dished to them. And you got to behave because you're monitored as to what you do, say and think and so on. Article 2 about themselves, the Millennium Project, what they are. It's a think tank established in 1996 under the American Council for the United Nations University that became independent in 2009 and has grown to 63 nodes around the world. Everything's standardized and we pay for it all. And it's to improve thinking about the future and make that thinking available. Well, you have no say in it, folks. You're supposed to just adapt to it all. It's all done now, isn't it? They know where they're taking you with all the behaviorists and psychologists. When you hear people, for instance, really screaming about Trump okaying almost about 500,000 workers in high tech from India, yeah, they should be training them here, absolutely, etc., etc. But they're looking to more. It's more than just that. They're looking to. They bring them in from India, knowing, you see, that the workers from India still have family values. See, yours have been destroyed deliberately. But those from India will have strong traditional family values, and they will bring in wives or bring in or decide because they choose wives and so on. And they'll have big families, and they will definitely produce a crop, because that's what we are. The present crop's dying off. They'll bring in a crop of workers for the future because they're not getting produced in the West here. Everybody's running around in their tight pants and getting covered in tattoos and playing themselves, you see. But they're not having children because that's what they've been trained to do and how to think and so on, not to have children, not to get married. There's been a war on the West for a long time. And so many of the big players, as I said, for instance, like the Maurice Strong, were quite open about it. They had a hatred, an absolute hatred for Western people and the societies they'd built. They call it the biggest curse on the earth, etc., etc. Hasn't changed. And there's elements behind this too that I won't go into here, but it's to do with an occultic system that even the folk who think they're in it today don't even understand because they're low level. Even if they think they're high level, there's much, much higher levels, but they don't know. It's completely intertwined with what's happening today. The things that are happening, and right down to even the necessity for population reduction, etc. That is not a new concept at all. So those who are complete existentialists, like Wiener was, with his cybernetics and the human use of human beings, the one that he wrote too. He was definitely existentialist, but so you have them, and then you have all the people down below who go along and they play with what they're called the New Age, allowable and promoted through television for years and years and years. They call it spirituality, fine, fine candles and things and cardboard with paintings on them and stuff like that. It's fine, 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 folks. But you don't know what's behind it at the top, do you? And what the big players from the past were really involved in, you have no idea. It's so sad, so sad that people think they're making their own decisions. Everything's got a purpose, as I say, even right down to the fashion of the things you wear. Because that's not kidding you. You look at some of them and they're all so proud of how skinny they are. They look like anorexic, a lot of people. I'm not kidding you. And it isn't just pictures and newspapers or magazines. It's in your own areas. Even in Sudbury, you'll see it too. How they all copy something that's put out for them to copy. And they want to all be the same. So I don't want to be a little different, And, yeah. And then they'll start becoming anorexic to fit into all these clothing, to look really good, because being anorexic is the look now. There's all these stories about vegans and veganism, and now they have these paid little armies of NGOs again to attack farmers across the world. And getting away with it, folks. It's because it's the agenda, and that's what's getting promoted. And you'll be good, when they can hardly see you. You'll be so skinny, but you're eating all the right things you're told to eat, like your cricket burgers. Remember the cricket burgers? That was a big thing when they pushed and so on. And no meat. You have Leica meats. That's okay. Leica meats, fake stuff, and so on. Because that's your masters have decreed that's the way it's going to be, and they've decreed that you're good if you do what you're told. You see, and most folk definitely will, and they want good social credit scores. And even though I'm saying it in a jocular fashion, I'm dead serious about it. That's what it's all for, absolutely. And the people at the top who will probably penalise me for saying all this stuff, and I do get this, will make my life a bit of a hell, because they're completely intolerant, because this is a totalitarian system you're living in, folks. It is totalitarian, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, no doubt about it. But everything's the same now, you see. Because you must consent. You must consent. You see? Like Huxley said, you must consent to love your servitude. Because you're owned, understand? If you use all this stuff, you're owned, and they have authority over you, and they can make your life hell, or they can actually close down your life. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you, folks. Think about it. This article, Elon Musk's Neuralink plans to hook humans' brains directly to computers, it says. He's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman, right? Not an inventor. It says brain chip will ultimately achieve a sort of symbiosis with artificial intelligence. Well, there's your cybernetics right there. This is all from years and years and years ago. Now is the time to bring these people forward to implement them, you see. There you go. Artificial intelligence. So the startup called Neuralink has made its first major public announcement, revealing flexible threads designed to link human brain directly to a computer, and so on and so on. They float the idea every so often, even in movies, but it's here. It's because it's here. And these people are really, they're fronts, as far as I can see. They're not inventors. They're just put out there with fronting the money, basically, to make it all happen. But and a lot of their funding is actually government backed as well, isn't it? They don't use even whoever the backing money is generally coming from government too. The gods, the hidden masters, coming forward, but they're not the masters either.